Tell the viewers about the film.
Well, this is a film about one little guy called Nico.
Yeah.
And this is how Nico tried to see his mother again.
Yes.
And he's trying to experiment a lot of things, and well, I don't want to tell you anymore, but
He experiments a new technology. He puts VR lenses, and he can see her mom again.
Tell us more. Tell us more.
It's about the new technology that Nico invented for connect with her reality and connect with his mom, who is the person he loved the most, and he lost it.
Oh.
So we are a studio of animation, and we wanted to watch our new technology.
Thank you so much. Without further ado, let's watch this technology in action.
So tell us a little bit about your film and what brought you here.
Yeah, sure. My film is a short horror film about a woman named Sam who pretends to be a man, and she's trying to go back to her house at night. She is stopped by these predatory-headed animal people that ask her misogynistic questions and riddles. She has to answer these riddles in a way that satisfies them in order to be able to pass and get home safely. Yeah.
And where did you get, or when did you get the idea for this film?
So when I was writing the story of this film, there was huge protests happening in the UK. There's a woman named Sarah Everard. She was unfortunately killed and abducted by a policeman as she was simply walking back to her house at night. It got me thinking about us, women or people who identify as women, as we're trying to do simple things in life, such as just trying to walk back home at night. And also the ways in which we have to masculate ourselves or pretend to be who we're not in order just to stay safe, and sometimes have to satisfy our abuser in order to get away from the situation. And so I was inspired by how it just feels so weird and bizarre, and the bizarreness of the situation like that inspired me basically to write this film in a way that you've got these animal-headed people asking these riddles, and you have to answer in a very specific manner that satisfies their own, thinking.
So the horror is inspired by real life, essentially?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I mean, also what inspired me was a girl that walks home alone at night. I think it's a vampire film, and the woman is the vampire going after the men, but this is kind of like a little bit of an opposite direction, yeah.
What roles did you play in the filmmaking process and stuff? Like, how many hats did you wear? How many titles did you sort of take on during the filmmaking process?
Yeah, so I was the writer, I was the director, and it was shot during COVID, which had a lot of its own challenges. I think what helped was a lot of the characters were wearing masks already, so that helped with the COVID situation. And also some of the voiceovers that was done is by different people than the ones wearing the masks. So, sometimes I would just grab some of the crew members to be the ones wearing the masks, but the person delivering the lines would be an actual actor in post. So it kind of helped with that situation. But yeah.
Is there anything else you want to say or plug about your film before we go?
Sure. Well, I'm just really happy to be here and to be selected. This is the first film by an Iraqi female director to be selected in this festival. So it's a moment of celebration for me and for the fellow Iraqi community. And I hope, people watch it and enjoy it and opens a discussion.
Hi, I'm Stella Crouch here at the Winter Film Awards with the filmmaker of Studio Ukraine.
Hey guys, I'm Jack Wingate.
Sort of tell us about your film and what inspired you to make it.
Yeah, so my film, it's a documentary. It's a short documentary about Ukrainian artists living in Berlin that had escaped from Ukraine because of the war, and they decided to come to Berlin because of the arts. And it's just about this collective of mostly women artists. I was invited by my friend Hannah Kolad to come and take photos and videos, and that quickly developed into a documentary about these artists' individual stories, and then more so about the collective and how they function as a group, and kind of how they lean on each other a lot. Yeah.
So you were connected to it through your friend then, sort of?
Yeah, I was actually in Berlin to make another documentary about House Share Statistic, which is like the building that they were in, because it was really interesting about how it formed and how it happened, and it's kind of like an artist organization, and then they invited these Ukrainian artists to come and use the space, and they kind of said like, well, my friend Hannah said like, well, you know, you're filming the space, why not come film here and hang out? Yeah.
How long did the filmmaking process take, and roughly when was all this like filming happening?
Yeah, this was pretty quick because it sort of just like organically happened, which was as a filmmaker nice. Like it felt kind of like just do it, you know? But yeah, the filming was over the course of I think 3 months, and then the editing was 1 month. So it was all very quick. I would have loved some more planning, but you know, that's documentary filmmaking. And so, yeah, and I think, I mean, it began after the war broke out in Ukraine, almost immediately after the war broke out. Yeah.
And had you ever like done a lot of like filmmaking in Berlin before? You mentioned you were making a film before, or was this sort of like your first time in Berlin in that community, sort of?
Yeah, it was very new to Berlin. I moved to Germany with a fellowship for filmmaking, but also for diplomacy. So I was in Cologne, and then I was in Wiesbaden, and then I moved to Berlin to work with artists in January. And so I was very lucky to move there, and I was just around the city filming, and yeah, it's very nice.
Is there anything else you'd like to plug or talk about with your film before we go?
Yeah, so the film also sprouted from an idea that filmmaking can be an amazing way to get the word out and share some love. And so the film is paired with a fundraiser for the collective. So if you want to give back to these amazing artists, they're making art out of fabric scraps, and they would love some funding. You can find the film at Studio Ukraine Film on Instagram. There's a link to donate to these artists. So do that if you can, if you're watching this, and it would be amazing. It would help so much. Yeah.
Thank you. Come see Studio Ukraine and many more films at the Winter Film Awards.